Alaska Garden. I'm with UAF Cooperative Extension Service and Tanana Chiefs Conference. I'm here in Homer, Alaska, checking out all the cool things farmers are doing here to extend the season, like high tunnels, hoop houses, low tunnels, and also the other cool tools they're using as small-scale farmers. I'm here with Emily Garrity here at Twitter Creek Gardens in Homer, and as you can see, she's got a lot of great high tunnels and examples of season extension. So Emily's going to show us a little bit around her farm. How long have you been farming for, Emily?
What did we decide? 17 years total, but 13 on this plot.
That's great. And so you've got a large high tunnel and some movable high tunnels over there, and then some hoop houses. So let's go check out your hoop house.
Sounds good.
So this is your hoop house. So you just built this from pretty simple materials. It looks like PVC pipe. And then what do you use to anchor the PVC pipe?
We use rebar. So our PVC pipe is every 4 foot, and then we have a perimeter of wood. And at the base of the PVC, there's rebar that's 2 feet into the ground and 1 foot out, and the PVC rolls right over and covers the rebar, and then it's lathed onto the wood with just plumber's tape and screws.
Nice. And how long is the PVC pipe?
20 foot.
Okay. So how big is the hoop house?
This one is 14 foot wide and 40 foot long.
Nice. And do you have an estimate of how much it costs to build something like this?
My best estimate would be $200 to $300, and the most expensive materials being the greenhouse plastic and the PVC.
Nice. And then you've got some nice end walls here. It looks like that's just a kind of a simple design.
Yep.
To fit the PVC pipe.
Yep, exactly. We keep a lot of scrap wood on hand, so we just use scrap wood and piece them together. And I'm trying to remember the first place I saw this end wall design, but it seems to really work with just the pieces meeting together with gussets and yeah, and then we use these T-posts to kind of hold them in place, and then once we put the plastic on and lath it all down, it holds the whole structure together.
And how do you anchor the plastic to the structure?
On the outside, along the base, the wooden base, there's little lath strips that we use short screws and put the lath strip over the plastic, and then the screws go through the lath strip and into the plastic and into the perimeter baseboard.
Okay. And I've seen a couple designs for this. Some people use purlin to brace the top, but you're using some rope?
Yep, we used to use purlins, and I found that when we would drill holes through the purlin and the rafters, if you want to call them the PVC rafters, that the strength of the rafters would be compromised where the hole was. So I decided that a rope would serve the same purpose, but wouldn't, trying to think of the right word, but break the integrity of the PVC pipe.
Okay, yeah. Nice. And what do you tend to grow in these hoop houses?
So in the spring we'll use them kind of like a hardening tunnel for our starts, and then in the summer all of our warm-loving crops grow best in these out of all of the tunnels. So we'll put tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, tomatillos, basil, sometimes onions, some herbs, those type of things.
So you're growing a lot of warm season crops in here?
Yep, exactly.
And why is that? Is it warmer than some of your other high tunnels?
It is. I think the design, the low structure to the soil keeps all of the heat right down on the plants. So it seems really effective at those crops that prefer warmer, more humid climates.
And then you just use the doors to ventilate?
Yep, we have a door on one end and just a window on the other end, and it seems to be enough. I think in a warmer climate you probably would want roll-up sides, but because Homer stays pretty cool all summer, that amount of ventilation works for those crops.
Okay, nice. Well, let's go check out your other movable tunnel now.
Okay.
So this is your movable tunnel.
Yep.
What do you call it? What brand is it?
This is made by Rimmel, and it's called the Rolling Thunder.
Okay. So what's the advantage of having a movable tunnel?
So for us, we get 2 separate plots per tunnel with the same tunnel. So we can start an early spring crop under cover, and then when that crop can withstand the elements outside, we can move it onto a summer crop that will prefer a warmer growing environment. And then when that crop is done, we can move it back onto a fall crop. So we get 3 successions out of the same structure.
Okay, nice. And it looks like this is the track here. Why do you have, what are these for here, the wood and the rebar?
So we have ground posts here, and that's what anchors the system. And we use kind of like a raised bed system just to keep the soil off of the track, to keep it clear from debris. So when we want to move it, it's really simple. And then the rebar is just holding the raised beds in place.
Okay, yeah, because you don't want dirt on the track. That would really
it'd probably get caught up in the
to,
casters, and you'd have to clean the track before moving it. And our tunnels are on 96 foot of track, but I've seen examples where they've been on multiple plots, so you could get 5 plots out of the same tunnel and just keep moving it down the line. So you can have as long of a track as you want, but because of our space and our slope and the excavation we had to do, we just used 2 plots.
Okay. So this is your end wall here. It's a little bit different than other high tunnels. Can you explain why it is the way it is?
Yeah, this isn't the best example of door design, but the reason it's like this is because we have a brace that goes at the 4 foot level from side to side, which helps the integrity of the structure when it's moving. And that was a recommendation from a farm that I visited in Maine that had these structures, and they said with a break in the middle of the structure for a door, it tended to make the tunnel a little more difficult to move, and it would kind of jiggle as it was moving instead of staying as one solid unit. So it makes access a little bit more of an issue, but it's doable for keeping the integrity of the structure.
And you also can't have the end walls go all the way down either, because then you would knock over your crop as you move it too, I would think.
Right. So all we have right now is just another flap of poly that goes down and wiggle wires into the sides. But an ideal setup would have a hinged solid door that hinged up when you wanted to move it, or hinged up for ventilation. So that's in the plan, it just hasn't happened yet.
And then you can also ventilate on the sides if you wanted to.
You could. We don't have to, or we haven't had to yet. The end vents seem to be enough, but I think if you were in a warmer climate, or you had a long series of hot days, then maybe a roll-up side would be effective.
Great. Well, let's move it.
Okay, so one thing we have to do before we move it is take the braces off. We've taken the rest. Normally we have 4 or 5 braces per side, and that just ensures that the wind's not going to pick the structure up and move it, because it's just set on these casters. So the ground posts go to this bracing system, and we just use a socket wrench on the end of a drill. And we leave the braces sitting right there.
Okay.
So now we can move it. These are light enough and easy enough to move with just 2 people, but we have 4 people here, so we're going to utilize our human power.
Okay.
So we have 2 people, or 1 person on any corner. So take your positions, ladies, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Wow, that was really easy to move.
Yeah, really easy with 4 people. You can also just do it with 2.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it really is a great tool for certain situations.
Yeah, really helps with season extension and succession cropping.
Great. Well, let's go see your other big high tunnel.
Okay.
So this is a Gothic high tunnel.
Yep, this
style?
is Gothic Oregon Valley.
Okay. And how big is this high tunnel?
It's 26 foot wide by 96 feet long.
Great. Wow, things are growing beautifully in here. So how early does it allow you to plant in this high tunnel?
This tunnel, depending on the spring we're having, we can plant anywhere from beginning of April to mid-April.
Oh, wow. And you use it to grow mostly greens, it looks like?
So our first succession is kind of a variety of things, because the first few crops out of here primarily go to our CSA members, so we can start our memberships in early June. So we have a lot of hardy greens, Asian greens. We have a first succession of spring beets, some radishes, some salad turnips, and other specialty salad mixes. And then when they all come out in mid-June, we'll replant with another succession crop. This year we're growing beets and chard in here, and then that'll come out and we'll be able to plant a fall crop of greens. So we use it for succession planting more than just warm loving summer crops.
And you rotate the crops that you grow in here?
We do, yep, we try to. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky in Alaska to rotate through plant families, because 90% of what we grow is brassicas, but that's why we're doing the beets and the chard, so we can get a different plant family in here from what we grew last year.
Nice.
Or sometimes it's alliums, or brassicas.
Wow, it's really warm in here. How do you ventilate on hot days?
So we have opening doors on either end, and then we have roll-up sides, and our roll-up sides, we just go from our pony wall, which is about 2.5 feet up, to the next brace, which is 4 feet up. So our ventilation is only about this big, but it rolls up, and that allows enough airflow to keep the air moving.
Great. Well, thanks for showing us your various ways of extending the season in Homer.
Thanks for having me.